how do you say it? I don't know. Yeah, but thank you, mother. But I really like to look at a stick and be inspired about a stick.
Hello.
Hello.
We are today in the studio of Pauliina Heinanen.
I'm Pauliina Heinanen and I'm a visual artist living and working in Helsinki.
How did you even end up being an artist?
Well, I have this, I'm quite lucky. I have quite artistic family. My dad is a cinematographer and my mother is a graphic designer. We have always had the facilities at home to do oil painting, to do movies, to do like anything you want. I actually went to this Kallio High School that I went there because of writing. I also have written from a really young age. I feel kind of like I am a writer nowadays, but it has been like not that usual, the path I have taken with it. So yeah.
But then in the visual arts you can also kind of incorporate writing pretty easily.
Yeah. And now we have this project that I can like tell you about a bit more later. But yeah. So I went to Kallio High School, and before that I started to photograph when I was maybe 16 or 15, and it was my mother who was worried about me and sent me to Annantalo here in Helsinki, which is this like center for young people to make art. So I went there and I shoot it there on film, and I was there doing these darkroom things, and that was like the beginning of my like photographic journey. And my teacher was Aino Kannisto, who was a great inspiration for me then, and she really like saw something in all of us, and it was like really special to know that Aino Kannisto is really like known artist, and then someone like that sees you who are 14 and says like, wow, you have this own style and I see your work and I believe in you. It was like really nice and important. I was then after high school thinking about like, what do I want to do with my life? And I was actually thinking of applying to study history or something like that, or something like society, anthropology, yes. Yeah. But then I didn't have the time to read. So I just like tried if I could get into Lahti school, the Muotoiluinstituutti, where there's this like quite famous photography line. And then I magically got in on the first try. So then, it took me a couple of years. I was really excited about the school and it was really important for me, and but I remember that because my path until that point was quite like easy in a way. It was so obvious that I do something with arts. So then when I had studied 2 years maybe, I had this huge crisis about like, why am I doing this? Is this really what I want? And like it was this like a new starting point for me, I think. Then I graduated from there, and then I had 1 year of just doing art, and then I applied to Aalto, to the photography department, to do my master's. And I think that this combination of studying in Lahti and then in Aalto was great for me, because it wasn't so supported in Lahti to do just art. I had to convince myself like this is really what I want to do, and kind of like hold on to it tightly. And then when I went to Aalto, the first feelings I've got was this like sense of relief, because I was taken seriously as an artist right away. Nobody questioned why you do art. So the combination, I think it kind of worked for me.
Then you graduated from Aalto?
Yeah, in 2020.
Oh,
yes.
in the middle of the first COVID situation.
Yeah, it was funny. I had these the presentation of my master's thesis on Zoom, and then it was just like, okay, thank you, bye-bye. And there was the school.
What do you think this gap year between the bachelor's and the master's did for your practice? Was it beneficial?
In some way, yes. I think I have been thinking about, like, I myself, I love school. So it's been like somehow obvious for me to go to school and go to masters, and like I really love studying and learning new things. Sometimes I've been wondering if what would have happened if I went to masters a bit later and had a bigger gap in between. But I don't know, I feel like the gap I had, the 1 year gap, I think I did too much. And it was quite the learning path for me, I feel. I feel like I had this like will of proving myself and to everyone else that I can be an artist. So and I think I went to 8 different group exhibitions in a year, and I did like so much that it was insane. It was, so it was good to go to school and rest.
So the auto saved you from burning out?
Yes, well, it didn't, but it, I feel like I kind of was saved, and I got this perspective of how much do you need to do and like accomplish in a year to be an artist. And
what were your impressions of the photography in Aalto, generally or specifically?
I think there were some good and bad things.
Of course, like everywhere.
Like everywhere. I think for me it was like important after Lahti to be there in the middle of other artists, and like that the professors were really, they knew what happens in art world. But there were quite many problems, I think, when I was there in the school because of Helsinki school. I feel like it doesn't belong in the Finnish school system to put people on like some people on a pedestal and like compare each other that roughly. That like I think that the Helsinki school situation like affected the studies quite much. So
But they're not having that anymore, are they?
No.
So it's good to mention that at the moment you are part of the Nuoret exhibition, which is this giant, like how many, I'm not sure how many different exhibitions of young artists in the city right now.
I think there's 7, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I feel like everything this month in Helsinki is about young art, completely. Your work is in Taidehalli. Are you working on something right now? Because the exhibition is already open.
Yeah.
So I guess you were working on that before it opened.
Yeah. For now, I'm not working on anything regarding my own like artistic work. I'm working on these texts that I do and this Uumen project. But
what is this Uumen project?
Yes, I can tell you about it. Uumen is this platform we founded with Laura Konttinen, my colleague, who is also sharing this space with me and also studied in Aalto. 2 years ago, we kind of talked like it would be nice to do something with writing. And then I asked Laura at some point, should we like make up some ideas or vibe this thing we have in common? Like for both of us, writing is really important for the artistic process, and we wanted to somehow like spread the texts visual artists do. And then we founded Uumen, uumen.art. It's unfortunately in Finnish, but it's this website that we publish visual artists' texts about art, recognize and bring forth the process that goes behind the artworks, and like this artistic process that oftentimes is really unclear and somehow like abstract. And
is it your texts that you post there, or is it other people's also?
On the first year of Uumen, we published only our texts because we didn't have funding for it. So, because one of the main values of the project is to support artists and their work, so we didn't want to make people do work for free. And but now this is the second year we have Saastamoinen Säätiö, Saastamoinen Foundation's grant for it. So now we have been publishing also other artists' texts on the page. So there's like poems, essays, and then we do with Laura also these interviews of artists.
What are you asking them?
We have themes for our texts, like spring and autumn themes. This year we have the spring theme is kitka. What is it called in English? It's not resistance, but do you know the physical when 2 objects are like, what is this?
Yeah, it's resistance.
Is it resistance?
I think so.
Yeah. So I interviewed Maria Pääkkönen, who is this like spring for the kitka, for the resistance theme. And Maria is a visual artist, but also an activist. So we discussed the themes of this double role. I'm really motivated to do it because I can, firstly, I can give money out to poor artists, which is amazing. I can like...
Truly?
Yes, it's like the position I want to be in. And then I can strengthen the sense of community, of bringing these thoughts visible to other people. And I like the project.
You said that when you were in your bachelor's, you had this moment of what am I doing with my life? Would you say that was a little bit of a like creative blockage of some way like this? Or have you had a creative block some other time?
I think that the one I had in school was more regarding the I don't want to be a photographer crisis. When the community around you and the teachers and stuff, they all encourage you to do like certain kinds of things, then you have this pressure to do those. This documentary photography was highly valued in Lahti, and it's great, but it's not like the style I do, and it's not like natural for me. It's not the whole of
photography.
Yes. So I feel like it was more crisis of that and being young and not having to think about like just going in this like tunnel almost. So maybe it was because of that. I think about quite a lot about the constructions of this working life and like the lack of funding and the short periods of working and like the stress it causes you, and why are some other forms of art supported way much more from the state than visual arts. I have had my ups and downs in this field, so sometimes I wish I would do something like more stable. I feel like this profession is not that stable. Things change a lot and you can't like plan your future quite far away. So I feel like I have blocks with those things, maybe not creative blocks in a way, but like
practical blocks.
Practical blocks, yes. For example, right now I have this like thought of going to doing other work, of sustaining my like everyday life and having this structure and this stability in my life somehow.
Yeah, but there are many artists who do something else part-time and manage to live with that. So how do you sustain your art practice? You're having now this project, perhaps this way. Do you have gigs of some other sort?
Do you mean Uumen project?
Yeah.
Well, Uumen project, we got this grant from Saastamoinen, and it's not for the whole year. We work on the project part-time, so that doesn't actually sustain me. Yeah, for now I have been lucky enough to get grants after graduating, so I have been just like doing artistic work, but I know that's not realistic in the like long run. For me, it's quite sad that I have to do other work to fund my own work. So it's like, yeah, I have a lot of like angst about these societal things regarding the art field, and I'm quite like tired of this like myth of being an artist and this nothing else matters. Like I do this even though I feel bad and I don't have any money, and like I just have to do art. So maybe I have had the attitude then when I was a bit younger, when I did these like 8 exhibitions a year. Maybe I had the attitude of art and nothing else, but I feel like now my values have maybe changed a bit.
Life comes to you fully at some point.
Yes, yeah, and I like I firstly want to feel well.
I mean, there's the pyramid of Maslow. You know, you need to have food on the table, and then you can think about higher purposes.
Yep.
Do you involve your family or friends into your work somehow?
Yes. Somehow, yes. I do things with my sister, creative things. She has more of this like way of getting people together. I'm more of this. I love community and it's really important for me. But regarding my own work, I'm the writer somehow. I'm the person who is in the corner by themselves and doing this like small things. And I really enjoy that. Oona designed the social media look for the Katoava kasvio as well. I had a friend of mine as an assistant for this project as well. And then my roommate actually was the person who identified the species. But it's important for me, like when I involve people that are close to me, that they get paid. And luckily I had like this grant that I could pay for the people who are working with it. But I like, as for myself, I don't want to do work without getting paid. I don't want to involve my family members or friends to do free work for me. I think it's not fair. So yeah. Yeah. And of course Laura, whom I have the Uumen project with, she's a close friend of mine. Yeah.
About your practice, what's your practice about? What are the main themes?
I work with photography mainly. If I don't, I feel like I think from the perspective of photographs. If the work isn't the photograph, it still somehow is. But yeah, I work a lot with themes like absence, and somehow longing is this theme that it's in all of my work somehow. And yeah, I'm quite fascinated about photographs themselves, and like I have been struggling with them quite a bit. Why is it square and why is it flat, and why is there always this technology between me and the work? So those are like themes that I think about quite often. And yeah, that's like reason when for the engraving I started like the thoughts about like breaking into the photograph. Nowadays I combine quite a lot photographs with engravings, so I scratch the surface of the pigment prints, and then they change from just being a photograph to being something in between a drawing and a photograph. And yeah,
it's funny that you say it, because you know I have studied photography before I came to Finland.
Yeah.
And somehow, I mean, I love photography as well. But somehow that was not enough for me, the photograph itself. Yeah. I thought that the solution for my problem with it was to go to new media, what I did here.
Yeah.
Because it builds on top of that.
Yeah.
And your solution was to take out of it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I feel you. It's somehow I feel like photographs are so distant. They're just like, there's something really confusing about them, and that's why I also love them, because I kind of hate them at the same time, because they are so like, they are not enough, but somehow they still like, they annoy me enough. They annoy me enough to be asking these questions.
Do you do drawing separately, or only on the photograph?
No, not officially.
What's officially?
Not like I haven't done a set of work that's just drawing. I have like,
but for yourself.
Yeah, sometimes, and we'll see what happens in the future.
Maybe it becomes official one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, drawing is very very attractive as well to me personally, because it's just it's the most direct way to be creative in something. It's just the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, I really like the directness of it. And for me, it has been really great to find this way of working where I can really spend time with the works. Somehow like this sense of käsityö, handwork, crafting something. That's like somehow something I enjoy really much.
Do you have a specific process or like a routine of how you approach your work?
For me, I would like divide my work. Like I have now had 3, if you could say, like main works. I have made this photo book about my grandparents, which is like, it combines text and photographs. And that's like, the way of working with that was completely different than on the engraving works. And then I have like 2 of the engraving works for now. Like I have the first one, which deals with the themes of absence and longing, and there are these black and white photos of these islands I really like, feel I belong to, and then I have engraved on top of them. And it's the starting point of this technique that I use. And then the third one is the katoava kasvio, the vanishing flora, that is in Taidehalli now. And for that also the working process was completely different, because it was, the theme just came to me that this is something I need to do. But the technicalities of the process are quite complicated. Actually, there's many points where I do like different kind of work, and it's quite like, there has been the finding of the plants and then to the engraving. The theme goes there like first, and then the ways of working come after the theme. I have like kind of decided to keep on working on the katoava kasvio thing. It's something that still interests me, and I like the structure of the whole process. So I would like to continue it, but I have this new set of works without funding, and the funding can be other work, but I want work with unemployment benefits and produce stuff with it.
How important is for you to have a studio? You said you're moving out now, and for the current moment you're not gonna have a space. You're gonna work at home?
No. I did that. During COVID times, and I won't do it ever again. It doesn't suit me at all. I find that working somewhere else than your home is really important. It keeps me in my own boundaries, that the work, it's not present all the time. It's really important for me.
How big is this one?
I think this is 30 something.
30 something, but then you said you're 4 people here. So
yeah.
And when you look for a new space, or even when you have been here in this one, what's the most important element of the studio? What's the thing you like the best about it?
That's a good question. I feel like the most important, I would say, are the people in the studio, actually, not the space in itself.
What would be your places of inspiration otherwise?
I would say I'm mostly inspired by nature. It's like this classic thing, but I really like to look at things and like look at a stick and be inspired about a stick or a rock. I feel like those are things that most inspire me. And then also dancing.
Dancing?
Yes, like myself and seeing other people dance. I do buto, this Japanese dance thing. That's a really important thing for me. It is a hobby, but it's somehow being with my own body and being in the movement. Those are like things that they ground me, and then they also like inspire.
Do you otherwise go to exhibitions? Do you follow what's going on?
Yes, I do. I feel like it's like part of my profession.
What are some artists that you have found interesting and you kind of like their work or follow?
Do you mean lately or like in generally?
Both.
Well, I went to see the Generation exhibition in Amos Rex, where are like a bit younger artists. There's a sense of just doing and believing in what you are doing, and I found that really heartwarming somehow and really inspiring. And I would say that's something like the whole exhibition. I haven't seen all of it yet, but it's quite a joy.
Yeah, in many of those works you can see the enthusiasm of the person doing it.
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's really, really great. And I'm now, there's this event which is for really young people who make art from 13 to 23, I think. And I'm there mentoring some of the young artists, and I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like that's a really great event, and I'm really looking forward to talking with the young people and about their art. I hope that I will stay curious about things that young people know better than me. But generally, I think that somehow I quite often get inspiration from things that are quite far away from the things I do myself. And I feel like that's why, for example, dancing, when I go to see dance, it's really inspiring for me, because it's like something completely else. Even though I do dance, but it's not my profession.
Yeah, and then dance could be so many things as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any, do you read books or something, like movies that you like and would recommend to people to, hey, this is something you have to see?
Yes. Well, I love essays. I love to write essays, and I love to read essays, and I like, my idol of essays is Silvia Hosseini, so I love Silvia Hosseini's work. And then now I have been reading this essay book from, I have to check the name, but it's Death by Landscape, and that's about imagining, writing, and also, is there a point of writing? Is there a point of making creative things when we are in this time of the climate crisis? And like, what are the ways that imagining could be an asset to bring change? I have the book with me. I can check it now.
Okay.
Elvia Vilk, something I recommend.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation. It's been very interesting.
Thank you.
To get to know you better as well.
Thank you so much.
And good luck with your Uumen project.
Thank you.
And the future of the art.